Right, Sam, we should actually now be live on YouTube.
We
welcome,
are,
everybody.
Hello.
Hi, Jane. Welcome to the stream. It's just a little bit of an impromptu stream. As you know, I don't normally stream on afternoons, but I've decided we'll do one today. Hi, Nikki. What we're doing this afternoon is Sam from Life After Life has kindly agreed to sort through a multitude of spirit boxes. How many have you got at the moment, Sam?
20.
Sam has sorted through 20 spirit boxes, and we're going to discuss various spirit boxes that Sam owns. We'll discuss the pros and cons from Sam's point of view. Obviously, I can't chip in on most of them because I don't know the pros and cons because I ain't got a lot of them. But Sam will tell you what she finds positive about a box, what she finds about negative. If it's something like the PSB7 or the 12587, I can actually comment on them because I've had experience of them. She has got an extensive range of homemade spirit boxes as well, ones that are not commercially made, so we'll cover those. But Sam is a little bit of a hoarder regarding spirit boxes. Is that not right, Sam?
That's an understatement. That's an understatement. But we've got everything. We've got everything from £10 to over £100. So there's a big variety of hacked boxes and radios and all sorts there. So and we can start.
It's actually interesting, Sam, that you've got ones there for for £10.
It's ideas I picked up from other people, they're not 100% ideal, but if you had nothing else, you could technically use some of these devices,
Yeah. Stephen says you've got one for each day of the week. Basically, Stephen, she's got enough to last everybody, to last herself 3 weeks at a time, rather than one for every day of the week. She's nearly up to the complete month.
Yeah, there's two spurt boxes I didn't include in this, and I'm doing that to prevent drama because I have nothing good to say about that particular one of their particular boxes, which they're very well. I'm going to leave it at that. I don't want to get involved in politics, so I left that one out. I have 3 actual spurt boxes on the way, and one of them was one of the first spurt boxes to ever be hacked, and they nicknamed it the Hack Shack. And then I have a box coming from Jeremy Jones from Paranologies called the Porticom Pickle, which is a box that scans randomly, and as far as I know, it reacts to static energy around the spirit box, so it'll stop randomly. It spins around. There's a little motor inside, and it stops. So it's not a linear sweep. A linear sweep starts at the beginning and ends and goes around in a cycle, but it goes over and back randomly. And then what else have I got? The Cultist box.
Just interrupting you quickly, Sam. Is that the only random sweep box that you will currently have at the moment? Are all the others linear sweepers?
They're all linear sweep. They're all linear sweep, including the one that I made. They're all linear sweep apart from the Porticom Pickle that it hasn't arrived yet. So looking forward to having a look at that.
Okay. Well, it looks like we've got people coming in now, so we might as well make a start. Would you like to explain to people? The majority of them on the channel will probably know what a spirit box is. But would you like to describe to people in your words, Sam, what you consider to be a spirit box?
A spirit box is a radio device used to communicate with the communicators or spirits, whatever your belief is, So you're talking about manual radios to actual hacked boxes and some of the company manufactured spirit boxes as well. So it covers a wide spectrum,
Okay, yeah. So when you say hack boxes, do you mean like radios that have had their circuit board wires cut, or some alteration to the circuit board that allows them to continually sweep?
Yeah, the automatic sweep hack boxes is basically a conventional radio that has the mute wire cut in it, so it doesn't go silent when it sweeps, and when it gets to a station it continues going, and it normally involves just cutting one wire.
Yeah.
In a lot of cases.
Yeah, I've got one myself, which is a Roberts 9914, which basically, it was a big fiddler because I had to split 2 circuit boards, but it was literally just cutting one wire and then just screwing the circuit boards back together and putting the cover back on. This is something interesting that people need to know. There are a lot of companies out there who will charge you a vast amount of money for what they class as a hacked radio or a spirit box. A lot of people, if you can use a screwdriver and a pair of pliers, the vast majority of radios that are hackable out there, you can do yourself, literally by taking the back off the cover, and 9 times out of 10 it is literally the fact of just cutting one wire. It's that simple.
Yeah, I mean, like, I'm not very good at reading and doing reading research, so if you you just go through, you can go through YouTube. There's people doing videos on them all the time. Sometimes people are criticized for showing how to hack radios because it's affecting their business.
Yeah.
But the matter of fact is, these people are cutting the mute wire on a radio and vamping up the price because paranormal is associated with it. When you can get some of those radios for 25, 30 pounds, let's say the Roberts, some of the Roberts radio, you can get them for 25 to 30 pounds. To get them hacked, you're talking about £50 upwards. So you're paying a lot of money just to get a wire cut. And very often there's people out there on YouTube are sharing that information, even though some of them are getting stick for it because it's affecting other people's business, which is, it's a bit shady. I mean, like, some of the paranormal businesses out there can be a little bit shady when it comes to paranormal equipment, but some of it is not paranormal equipment in the first place. It's just altered everyday items, and they put it out as their latest product, So, I know from being, through the process myself, I got ripped off a couple of times. So I actually know what's, where to get stuff at a cheaper price, know.
This is the thing, Sam, that, people are being taken advantage of online specifically. Now, not all people are doing it, because I know there are people out there who are doing it for extremely cheaply. You can get radios and they're charging you, maybe £5 to cut the wire or whatever for you. But the majority of the time, you will find a lot of these converted radios, you will be paying £30 upwards for somebody simply to undo maybe 5 screws and then cut a wire on a radio for you. Right.
Well, some of these people are actually making 300% profit to 200 to 300% profit, which is ridiculous,
Yeah. Right, Sam, we might as well get started because we've got a number of people in here now. So you said you've got them ranging from £10 up to £100. So it is really cheap to get into spirit boxes if you know where to look. Do you want to start off with your £10 box and explain what it is and what you think about it?
Well, it's a little bit over £10, but
yeah.
and it's a bit off the wall. You're not gonna, you know, some people are going to say what, but it's
Right, I'll blow you up, Sam, so people can see it clearer. Oh, sorry, Sam, I pressed the wrong button. Then I took you off the stream. There you go.
that's just all right. The first one, and this is the information I got from here, from this is from Appydroid Development, who does the apps and that was the Bofang GT3, also the same circuitry and the same layout is in the Bofang UV5R. Now this is a two-way amateur radio. You have to have a license to broadcast on this, but this is not what I have this for. At the top here, this button here, you can turn it on and you have an FM radio. And if you hold in the scan button here, it will scan through and will just continue scanning, but it doesn't go silent.
Right.
As long as you have a 3mm, as far as I know, it's 3mm, 3mm to 2.5mm jack, and connect this up to an amplifier, because you need to amplify the sound. This
is that a standard jack plug, Sam?
No, this is that is the standard,
right?
And that's 2.5mm.
Right. Okay.
So it's slightly smaller.
So phone headphones wouldn't fit directly into that socket.
No, not without this.
Right. Okay.
Not without this. But these are 99 pence.
Yeah.
99 pence. You know.
Yeah.
So this actually sounds a lot like the PSP7 on fast mode. Now it's not the best radio in the world for doing spurt box sessions, but you can get a UV5R or a GT3 for anything between 13 and 17 pounds.
Right.
And as long as you have a strong enough amplifier, you can actually use it, you know. So that's the GT3 ham radio. And the ham radio community actually think that this is a well-built radio, and you know, it's a cheap Chinese radio, but it's actually pretty robust and pretty good. But as far as spurt boxes are concerned, if you had nothing else and you wanted something cheap, you could technically use this.
Right.
You know.
Okay. So how much did you actually pay for that one, Sam?
This one was £17 at the time, and they dropped the price after I bought. You know.
But for right now, what would you say are its best features for the price?
The best features for the price is actually the quality, the quality of the construction.
Okay.
I mean, like it's built extremely well, and if you had a license, you could use these on Paranormal Investigations, provided you were licensed to communicate with each other. But also, you could do a spurt box session technically with one. Do you know?
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Well.
Will I go into the disadvantage?
Yeah, that was the next thing I was about to ask you.
Oh, sorry. Well, the disadvantage of it is, you know, you either have to hold you have to hold the button in,
right?
Because I think Appydroid tried to put a switch in there to bridge the gap, but there isn't an awful lot of room in here, so it was very, very difficult to do it. Some people, you know, I used to put an elastic band around it and put something to push in the button. But I found if you cut a cable tie and just have a little piece sticking out, you can actually push, put it in alongside the button, and you can scan it that way. Right.
So that is its main disadvantage. You've got to fiddle with it a bit to have a continuous scan on it.
Yeah, and it is pretty fast. It's faster and a little bit noisier that I actually like.
Right. Okay.
Do you know?
Yeah.
But I have done sessions on this, and it does technically, it works.
Brilliant. Okay. Do you want to move? Do you want to move on to the next one then? Your next one up in price?
Well, I have. Well, I actually I haven't done them in prices. I've done them. I have this one from Appy that I got the idea from Appy Droid,
Right, okay.
and I have other ones from Appy Droid where I got the idea from Appy Droid.
Do them in whatever order you want then. All right, we'll do them in whatever order you want. So, do you want to pull out the next one then?
Right, I've got.
And I promise not to cut you off this time.
Oh, it's all right. It's okay. It's okay.
I've got the hang of it now, Sam.
The next one, and I don't see an awful lot of people using this, but it's the Texan PL 660, which is very easily hacked. There's a ribbon inside there, which you could cut, but I choose to just disconnect it and put a little piece of insulating tape over one of the connectors in there. And if you go to Appy Droid's channel, he actually shows you how to actually hack this radio.
This is the radio that I want. I want the PL660.
Yeah, this radio here scans AM, FM, and the shortwave bands. Right. It doesn't scan. It has airband, but it doesn't scan on that. But it's it's a band very useful for messing about with if you wanted to manual sweep on your airband or listen out for strange signals or whatever. Airband certainly is very good. It is £120.
Yeah, it is one of the more expensive radios.
And it's anything from £100 to £120. I was lucky; I got this one for free. But a very, very good quality piece, very, very good quality radio, and well worth having as a hacked radio if you can.
Is there an ability to plug an external aerial into that, Sam?
Yes, there's a jack. There's a jack right up on this end here that you can plug an external AM antenna. No, FM and shortwave antenna, actually.
Right, okay.
It didn't come with this radio, but it did come with the PL 360 that I have. So you can plug in an external there, and you can scan everything from FM, AM, shortwave to manually sweeping through and listening out on the airband channels. And you can, if you're near an airport, you can listen out to air traffic control and stuff like that.
Okay. Andy Kay says he'll give you a tenner for it, Sam. It's all right, LER. It is actually a very good radio, that one. I've been trying to get hold of one. The last one I saw on eBay literally went in minutes. But I think it's one of the clearer ones in terms of scanning and stuff like that. So what would you say are its best points then, Sam?
Well, the good points about this one is the quality of the build. Right. And the range of options you have for scanning. It's pretty good, as it says, everything from FM to shortwave bands. So it's a pretty good radio, good quality build, good product.
Okay. So do you want to go on to your next one then? Oh, sorry, we had done the negatives on it. Have you got any negatives for it?
Price.
Just
it is it's £120. It's a little bit noisier than some of the other boxes,
right?
But I think it's still a very good Spirit box. It is a pretty good, and it is a good product. But it's maybe worth £120, but it is certainly the most expensive of the radio hacks that is out there, one of the most expensive. So that's the only downside to that.
But would you say, Sam, it's easy enough to hack for somebody who's had no real experience if they follow a video on it? Because I know you've done a video on hacking it, haven't you?
I have done it actually, yes, and compliments goes to the chef, Mr. Appydroid, who originally done the video on it. So
Right.
that's how I learned. So he swears by the Texan brand. So I just happen to have it, and I didn't know if I could use it. I was going to use it as a manual, and then I found out that this could be hacked. I was all excited because I did get it for free.
Yeah, brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. Okay, then, do you want to move on to the next one?
The next one is the last one from what I seen from Appydroid, and that's the PL360. And to me, this is what the PSP7 should have looked like for the price that you pay for the price you pay for the PSP7. It should be good quality like that.
Okay. Yeah.
Technically, Appydroid does have a hack for this, but he says it's not as good as the PL660.
Right.
But I find this one very easy on the hand, and I use it as a manual sweep.
Right.
As well as that, it scans the AM, FM, and the shortwave bands as well. But the tuning dial is up here, and what I do is I turn it on. I'll actually turn it on for a second. I'm on FM, and that's what I do. That's how I scan this. So.
How long can you actually keep that up, Sam, before your thumb starts to hurt?
About 15 or 20 minutes, but it
Right,
does.
okay.
It does get you after a while. But sometimes I think it's worth it because I did use it a couple of times on locations and got great stuff. And I actually been messing around with it in the house, and I just find that a little compact radio like this, if you're out and you go out for a different purpose and then you decide to do a spurt box session, you haven't got nothing else with you, that this will work for you,
So what would you say is are the best features of it, Sam?
The really good quality, the functionality, the layout of the functionality. You also can charge it up with that type of USB there. So if you put rechargeable batteries in it, you can charge them up from in the radio. You can charge them up.
Right. So that will actually it's got a charging unit built into the radio itself if you use rechargeables.
Yeah.
Oh, that's good then.
Yeah, and one of the other great things about this is a small radio, and that there you can see how small the speaker is, but it is extremely loud.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
And it's one thing that the PSP7 doesn't have is a good speaker. So it's going to be very clear. It's going to be good quality, and it's actually less than the PSP7, but it's limited because it's a manual sweep. But you do not go from one. You don't go from one frequency to the end frequency and the wheel stops. It just continues. It just continues going around. So you can just keep doing that.
Yeah. So it's a continuous spin wheel then.
Yeah.
So what price is that retailing at currently, Sam?
£45.
Right. So it's £45. No real way to hack it. and it's a manual scan, but good quality.
It is, yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Right. Do you want to do your next one then?
Okay. Oh, and it comes with a little pouch, and it comes with an external AM wire antenna and stuff, and headphones and that. So that's that. Right.
That's actually something I wish the PSP7 would come with a sound case.
Yeah, but I wish the PSP7 was that good of quality.
Yeah.
You know, but we get to the PSP7 in a minute.
Okay.
You know, but what am I going to go for? I'm going to briefly go on to Sony. Some people have seen them, some people haven't, but it's the Sony Walkman.
Right.
And technically, this is a hacked box.
Okay.
It's from the 1980s, I think, and it's a cassette Walkman. You put your cassette in there, you clip it onto your bed, you put your headphones in, and you can listen to your tapes and that.
Right.
It's got a little digital AM/FM radio there, and somebody found a way of hacking these.
Okay.
I've used them. I've used this. I used them on. Do you know the spirit box enhancers? You would call them.
Yeah.
That use reverb and noise gate pedals. It's kind of ideal for that, but it is a slow scanning box. You know, it is a slow scanning box. The other thing is they're very difficult to find these.
Yeah, they are now. Has that one actually got a record facility on it, Sam? So you could record as you were scanning?
No. You know, back in the day, it was just a player.
Right. Okay.
You know,
because that would have made it actually an ideal spirit box to do analog recordings with, because of it being the tape sort of thing. But it's a shame there's no recording facility on it.
Yeah, a lot of these Walkmans didn't have a recording facility. It was just a tape player and that.
Yeah.
But you know, it's a Sony brand. It's a good brand. Not my favorite hack, to be honest with you.
Right.
Not my favorite hack. It is extremely slow. I like a slow scan.
Yeah.
But this sometimes can be a little bit too slow, and too much can come in.
So roughly how many milliseconds do you think it scans at, Sam, compared to, say, the PSP7?
I don't know. I can roughly say about 4 or 5 words can come through before it skips on to the next scan.
So you're looking at probably at least 500 millisecond scan, I'd have thought, at least.
Yeah, but you know, I did buy a slow scanning radio yesterday, and straight out of the box, I was getting stuff. You know, so you know, people would say, "Oh, it's just all radio." Yes, it can be all radio until something. You can hear that different tone, and you'll get that response coming through. And I need to use this a little bit more. You know, when I bought this, somebody had sent me also a external speaker, because this doesn't have a speaker. You know.
Oh, right.
You know,
right. So, quick summary then. What would you say are the main positives of it?
It's Sony. It's good quality.
Okay.
And
well,
you know, it's good quality, and it's you know, it is actually nice and clear scanning. You know, it's pretty easy enough to listen to.
Right. And
you know,
negatives?
The negatives is it scans really slowly, slower than I actually, you know, I'm used to scanning at. That's about it, really. You know. And they're very hard to find. They're nearly impossible to find now. So, you know,
yeah. What are they roughly retailing at now, Sam, if you can actually get one?
Anything this person wants for them, they're putting them out there. You're talking about £50 to £150. You know.
So because they're Sony, do you think they're holding the value because of, you know, for like nostalgia value as well as anything else?
No, not really. I do find that the smaller boxes tend to be the more expensive, and the rarer boxes tend to be pretty expensive. So, this is a small box, and it's rare. So
Yeah.
if you were to buy one of these and wasn't hacked, you would still pay a lot of money in some, on some sites for them.
Okay. Okay.
You know?
Do you want to move on to the next one then? I'm gonna
Yep.
when this video is finished, Sam, I'm actually going to timestamp all this so that people can jump to the different ones in the video and see which ones they like and stuff.
Will I go to PSP?
Right.
PSPs. Do you know?
Yeah, because
There you go.
Sam's got both of them.
Yeah, the familiarities that most people know is the PSBs. So we got the 7 and 11. I think the 11 was supposed to be the successor to the PSP 7. So here's the PSP 11 and there's the 7. I'll start with the PSP 11. This was supposed to be, as far as I know, was supposed to be the successor to this. And it very quickly got a reputation to be an extremely noisy box.
Yeah.
So it didn't catch on like the PSP 7 did.
Right.
Basically, what I've been told is that this is basically two PSP 7s in the one box.
Okay.
You've got one side with the controls, the other side with controls. These are two PSP 7s, but the thing is, they sound an awful lot different than the PSP 7 itself. You've got two separate speakers down here. Now, there's no problem with the speakers. The speakers are fine, but it's the amount of static that comes out of this. Now, somebody found a hush mode for this, and it makes it a more usable box. But if you're not used to really noisy static, this may not be the radio for you.
So it's got a magnitude mode like the PSP 7 has.
Sort of. It doesn't work quite as good as the PSP 7, that quiet mode, but it does make it a more usable box. Some people, some of the older researchers believe that static plays an important part, and sometimes that static is harsh static.
Yeah.
And this certainly has it. Some of the features too is it's got this little stand. It's got this little mount. You can put it on a tripod if you want. You can actually turn on and off the antennas. You can turn on off the AM antenna or FM antenna or both. You've also got a light at the top. Little red light on the top.
Right.
Red light is good because some of the teams I worked with insist on using red lights, because if you use white lights and that light shines in your eyes, you have to take a couple of minutes to adjust. So that's why red lights is good. It also has a temperature thing. You turn the spirit box on. You turn on your temperature. It sets itself to the ambient temperature, and then when it goes off that average temperature, it'll cause a little alarm in that. But if you're in a building and the temperature is going up and down, it can be a bit annoying.
Right, so the PSP 11 is basically two PSP 7s combined, plus a torch, plus a air temperature thermometer as well, all built in.
Yeah, you've got a mute button there as well, so if you wanted to talk, you can mute it and that. But some people say that is actually bad manners to mute the communication coming through so that you can speak.
Yeah.
So I don't actually use the mute button. But they tried to move forward from the PSP 7, and this is their product, and it's a bit I don't know. It's a bit experimental. That sort of didn't go. I don't know if it went to plan. To me, it's just a little bit
Well, as good as the
wishy-washy to
PSP
me.
7. Right, so then,
No,
Stan, what is the cost of a PSP 11 roughly, and what are the positives of it?
the strange thing is, it started off at about £110. I bought this one for £110.
Yeah.
The thing is, lately the market value has gone up to 160 to £250. I've seen the most expensive one,
Right.
and I don't know why that rise in value is.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's not.
I wonder if they're going to stop manufacturing them or something.
I don't know, but the price seems to be on the way up rather than down.
Right. And what would you say the positives of it are then? If you think there are any.
The number of functions. They made an effort to make something with a number of functions.
Right.
I've got more disadvantages than advantages on this one, I'm afraid.
Okay. Let's hear the disadvantages then.
The build quality and most notably the loud amount of static that just drowns out responses, and only for the hush mode it would be it's more difficult to extract your EVPs from this box than some of the other boxes, because you've got that static that's dominating it, you know.
Right. So the audio quality ain't as good.
No, the build quality is not great, you know.
Okay.
And right. We're down to one of the most popular boxes, the PSP 7. I only have this a couple of weeks ago. I only have this.
This, folks, is probably the most popular of all the pre-manufactured spirit boxes. This is one that isn't actually asked by anybody. It is sold as a spirit box, and probably the most well-known spirit box in the world, I'd have thought.
Yeah, this and the PSP 7 are specifically spirit boxes. They're not hacked radios.
Yeah.
Technically the radio circuitry that's hacked, but it's built as a spirit box.
Yeah.
A couple of weeks ago, I didn't have this box, and I swore I would never buy one, because I've seen so many videos where they just turn it on and scan it, and the noise just doesn't. It's very, very difficult to listen to. But I changed my mind when I heard about the hush or magnitude mode on it, and I've had a number of brilliant responses in the 3 or 4 weeks that I've had this. So it's certainly a popular choice for investigators because of the size and because it works pretty good. This and the PSP 11 have a variable scan speeds, which ordinary hacked radios don't have. This has AM, FM, and it has a variable scan speed. The hush mode almost cuts out all the static and cuts out some of the radio signals, and that's what I use this for. I don't use it for anything else. I just use it for that. Other people like using the ordinary modes. Rumor was going around that the next version of this will have the hush mode built in, that you can use it.
Right.
So I don't know what that's going to entail, or is it just a rumor? I don't know. So don't take my word for it. But certainly I'm glad I bought it.
Yeah.
I'm glad I bought it. I got great communication from it. I got full sentences out of this. I just couldn't believe it.
Yeah.
But what I tend to do is I tend to use it at a 300 scan rather than 250.
Yeah.
Where a lot of people say 250 is the great one. I was on 250 and then I reduced it even further because I wanted to get that more out of it. But you know, from I think it was last week or the week before, I got the full sentence out of it. You know, there was an F word in there. You know, it's a pretty. It's not often you get a full sentence, but you know, when you get 4 or 5 words in a sentence, it's pretty good. You know.
Right. What's interesting to note about the PSP7 is the scan rates vary depending on which band you're on. I believe the FM goes from 50 milliseconds up to 500 milliseconds, and the AM, I believe, is it 200 to 500, Sam?
Something like that. Yeah.
The other important thing to notice is that magnitude mode, where you can cut out the pseudo white noise, is only available on the AM mode. Now, where I live, I'm actually quite lucky because I get better reception on AM than I do on FM. If you live in an area where your FM is predominantly stronger, or you seem to get better communication on the FM bands, you're going to have to live with the fact that you're going to have that pseudo white noise coming through your radio all the while, because the only time you can turn it off is on the AM band. The other thing you can do is use a noise gate with it. I actually use my PSB in my portal, for want of a better word, which is, hang on, I'll show you that. Hang on. That is my portal. As you can see, that is where it fits inside the box, and you can work it from there. And all the bits and pieces, it's right, this camera's back to front when I'm doing it. All my buttons and everything to work my portal are on the back. This was actually made by Andy and Becky from Elemental Encounters, and I did all that artwork myself on the front. It's all wood burned and coloured, so it shouldn't lose or nothing. It's got the channel icon and everything. But the PSP7 is excellent for things like portals, especially if you use magnitude mode on the AM bands. For me, it's my favourite spirit box of them all. Go on, Sam.
I'm the complete opposite to what I have a completely different opinion to what you just said.
Yeah,
but you know, we all have our own thing. I don't when it's on the hush or magnitude mode, I tend not to use the noise gate at all and use Faraday.
No, I don't when it's in the portal, Sam. If I'm on AM, I just literally switch it into magnitude mode and let it run with the noise gate turned off.
Yeah, I tend to stop using the noise gate with the PSP7. Yeah, if it was running on FM, I would. You know, I would possibly, but I try not to use a noise gate if at all possible, because you could filter out low tone responses, and you don't want that. So that's why I went from using a noise gate to using tin foil or a biscuit tin or a Faraday pouch or whatever, and you can get Faraday pouches that can pitch a little small radio like this, you know.
But if anybody out there is interested or considering in building a portal, the PSP7, particularly if you've got good AM reception, is probably one of the best spirit boxes out there to use in a portal. Like I say, you can use it with a noise gate on the AM, on the FM, which I do occasionally, but for me personally, we do have better AM reception around here. So it's absolutely perfect for me. So what would you say are the positives of the PSP7 then, Sam?
It works, and it works well with the noise with the noise reduction through the
amplifier.
The magnitude mode. I think it works well, that AM magnitude or hush mode. I think it works really, really well. You know.
Anything else positive?
It's one of the first boxes I got a good long full sentence from. So it definitely is, it does do what it's designed to do, and it's portable. It's pretty small,
Yeah.
It works brilliant.
Go on.
It works brilliant in my car stereo where I can plug an auxiliary into it, So, I've been driving around with this on. Now, you've seen some of the videos,
Mm-hmm. The other positive I will add to it is the variable scan-free speed, because I do find occasionally if you go to certain locations, if you either speed up or slow down and experiment, you will find there will be a sweet spot for each individual location you go to, and that is the beauty of the PSP7. Sometimes you may not be getting good communication at 200 milliseconds. You could knock it up to 350 or down to 50, and suddenly you're getting brilliant communication. So for me, that is probably the main pro for me with the PSP7. Negative, Sam?
Lots of them.
Well,
right, they designed it. You can see here at the front, what looks like a speaker.
Yeah.
But that's not a speaker. That's
it's
behind that.
Yeah.
The speaker is behind there, and it's absolutely rubbish.
Mm-hmm.
So what did they do? They sent out these.
Oh yeah, I've got one of them. I call it my Michael Jackson speaker.
I mean, like this is rubbish, like and this one doesn't even work.
Oh,
so
right.
I mean, like, why not put a proper speaker in the first place? Even if you have to make it a little bit thicker, why not just put a proper speaker in it instead of having to compensate for a bad design by putting this stupid thing on it?
Yeah, totally agree with you on that one. I do think the sound, the volume of the speaker is the biggest negative for me with the PSP7. It does need some form of external speaker to work, or headphones, whatever you're using.
The other thing is it's $79.99, and it's the quality is absolutely rubbish.
Yeah, they are extremely plasticky and light and flimsy.
There's nothing much to them for $79.99. I just not like the quality you see from the Tascam radio and that,
Yeah.
And if they made them that size, you could have more functionality. You could have a better speaker. You could have a switch on and off for your quiet modes or whatever. You could even put a light in there. You would have a little bit of a bigger box, but the limited things when they made them so small. Maybe they wanted to have something that was very small, but if there was slightly bigger, I'd say there'd be more room for development, because why put a speaker into something and the speaker actually doesn't do the job properly? So you have to send them out with these flipping things. Some of them work, some of them don't. This one doesn't work, So
Right then, before we move on to the next one you've got then, Sam, I'll ask a question that Anne posed in the chat earlier on. In your opinion, because you own both of them, which one do you think is the better box, the PSP7 or the PSP11?
Oh, definitely the PSP7.
Right, okay, I'd agree with that. I've only ever used one once, the PSP11, and I've got to be honest, I weren't overly impressed with it.
Yeah. You've seen, I think Gary Galka was involved in these. And that and Ghost Adventures were close to people like Gary Galka and them, and they started off with these, and then they went, we got the new product now, we got the PSP11. They started using it, and then they went back and started back using these again. So that said a lot,
Okay. Right, do you want to move on to your next one then, Sam?
Yep.
What I want to do at the end, Sam, if you don't mind, whichever one your favourite box is, would you mind doing like a couple of minutes spin-it session on it to show people why you think it's good at the end?
Oh yeah, no problem. Yeah, no
Brilliant.
problem. I've got an amplifier here.
Yeah.
Oh, we can go to Roberts.
Okay.
We can go to Roberts. We can go to the most common Roberts.
Mm-hmm.
The 9921.
The 2-1.
Yeah, this is And I think the reason why this one is so popular, I think, is because the availability of them, you know.
Yeah.
You know, it's one of these. It conventionally was a radio, and it basically you cut a wire, and you know it just continuously scans. So this was originally an ordinary household radio, you know. AM medium or FM medium wave and shortwave bands.
Right.
Yeah. Volume, you got a normal mode, news mode, and music mode at the top.
Yeah.
You have a little key that locks it, so you know if you put it in a bag and something knocks up against it, it's not going to go off by accident. You've got a list of the frequencies at the back on this little thing.
Now I've got the 9914, which to me looks almost identical to that one. It sounds like it's got almost identical features. Before Sam carries on with this, what I will say about the Roberts radios is, what a lot of people don't realise is they actually have identical circuit boards to both the Sangean and the Radio Shack radios. They are all the same circuit board in all three brands. Right, go on, Sam.
Yeah. BBC World Service Radio. It's you see a lot of these about because I think the availability is a little bit more than some of the other Roberts radios. So that is that, and you know it comes with a little pouch. A pretty heavy radio, and that's not necessarily a bad thing when you have the weight like that. You've got two, and as far as I know, there's two circuit boards in these.
Right.
One, they're sort of sandwiched together. When you open this up, there's a circuit board on the front and a circuit board on the back, and then a metal shield between the two of them to stop interference and stuff like that. Yeah. It's quality. They're built like a brick.
So what would you say is the right first? How much roughly do they retail for, or how much can you get one for off somewhere like eBay?
An ordinary radio that's not been hacked, around 25 to 30 pounds.
Right. Okay.
One that's hacked, you're talking about 50 pounds, 50 to 55 pounds. If they are priced more than that, but I would be very, very careful. You know, if you can get one of these radios that's not hacked for 25, 30 pounds, just look up how to hack them. You know, the information is out there. It's one wire. You cut it, it's over and done with, and it's not that difficult. You know.
Yes, I'll pay £30 off eBay for my 9914 unhacked. It was just basic radio, and I did it myself, literally within 5 minutes.
Yeah, you know, when I say there's information in YouTube and stuff like that, don't just look at one video and take the information from that. Try and look at a couple of different videos, because sometimes people think they know what they're doing and they don't. You know, look at a couple of different videos and make sure that the information matches, you know, and go with the most information. But it's not that difficult. It's one wire on a connection strap between the two circuit boards. One of those wires needs to be cut, and it's usually an end wire or something like that. It's not that difficult, and usually they come in a little pouch. And this one comes with its original manual and stuff like that. Very, very good quality box, this.
Yeah, I was lucky with mine. It actually came with the original box as well. Believe it or not, I've still got the original box to mine.
Right.
Right, so what would you say the positives are of it then, Sam?
The scan speed is good.
Yeah.
The clarity is pretty good.
Yeah.
It's not overly statical or anything like that. It's pretty clear coming out. It's easy enough to listen to, and along with that, the quality of the radio is pretty good as well. Okay,
and the negatives?
None.
Okay, so that's the Roberts 921 for you. Okay, and Sam, do you want to get the next one?
Whoops. I just
Sam's just proving the quality of it by dropping it on the floor.
Yeah, that's the Bofang GT3 that just fell on the floor there, and it's still on piece here. Actually, we're going through the three Roberts radios basically, and basically most of them are the same.
Okay.
Now this one is. I keep forgetting the number of this. Where are we? Roberts or 881.
Right. Okay.
For some reason, you know, when you say the circuitry is the same in all the radios and that, I'm not 100% sure because maybe connection is involved, but this one is the one that I use, and it looks rubbish. This thing.
Okay.
It's supposed to be silver. Somebody sprayed it black, and when I bought it, it was all scraped, and the black paint wasn't sticking on. So I stripped the paint off and I hand painted it and it looks like something a kid would play with, but this was supposed to look like the last radio that I just showed you.
Right.
But for some reason I'm getting great stuff out of this box.
Okay.
And why I'm not getting the same out of the other one, I don't know. It's just that maybe connection is important, and I've used this quite a lot. And you know, everything from the abandoned army fort to, you know, Sharon Rectory and places like that. This one is the one that was giving me results, and at home, you know.
Yeah. Right. So would you say it's similar to the 9921 in terms of you know, quality of communication you get on it, in terms of the quality of the sound that comes out?
It's hard to know. I tend to go for this one over the 9921 for some reason.
So what do they retail for roughly, or how much can you get them off eBay or whatever?
Same as the 9921 if you can find them. You know,
right.
I haven't seen too many of them in that, but you know, they are out there, and they're possibly around the same sort of price, you know.
And the negatives?
It's same as the other one. Absolutely nothing. There's not much of a difference. There's no difference in quality or anything like that. It's just for some reason I prefer this one.
Okay.
You know, I can't explain it. You know, maybe connection is important with communication. You know.
Okay.
So, and that's that. And all the Roberts, you know, they usually come in a nice little neat pouch like that.
I didn't get a case of my 1.4, Sam. I got the original box, but no case.
Right. The cases are handy to stop them getting scratched.
Yeah. Right. So this is your third Roberts.
Yeah, and it's the one that you have.
The 9914.
Yeah, and this one's slightly different. It's a lot bigger actually.
Do
you know? All the same functions as the other radios, except you've got a manual tune there, and so you have an option of manual tuning.
Yeah.
Great. This radio is great on shortwave as well. You know. I'm not quite sure about air bands, but they have there's a number of shortwave bands which you can select pages up and down. So I think there's 3 or 4 pages there.
Yeah, I think there's 3.
Yeah, and this one scans on the shortwave as well. So
yeah.
But if you wanted to do the old ITC research and go for a single frequency, you know, you can certainly use this. You can use it as an ordinary radio still because you've got the manual tune.
Yeah.
You know, it's another good quality product, and the same advantages and disadvantages as the other boxes. Just the added feature of a manual a manual scan, which means you can use it as a radio if you wanted to as well, or you can do some manual sweeping in that. So this one is pretty good. Haven't used it very much. You know, I have a lot of spurt boxes, so some of them don't get as much use as others.
I actually used that one on the Fay Garden video I did when we went out last summer with Andy and Becky from Elemental Encounters, and that is the box that we got all the Fay communication on. Was the 9914. Brilliant little act radio. I absolutely love it.
Yeah, and you hacked that one yourself as well, didn't you?
Yeah, I hacked it myself.
Yeah,
it literally takes 5 minutes. I think it's 5 outer screws and 2 little screws inside the battery box. You pull the cover off, you part the circuit boards, and you literally cut one wire on the end, screw it all back together, and it's done. It is literally a 5-minute job on that one.
Yeah, they're built like a brick. All the Roberts radios, really good stuff.
Yeah,
really
definitely.
Good stuff. Oh, I have another Roberts, which is completely different. I forgot about that. So we're still on the Roberts team here. It's like an old-fashioned radio shop here. This is the latest one. And this is pretty heavy. It's called, without looking at it, Sam, the 9906.
Right.
The 9906. And only have done a couple of sessions, but Genie Max, some of the responses I got out of this was something else. It's really good. It's actually it's more heavier than it actually looks.
Right.
And I bought this as a radio.
Yeah.
And I had to hack this, and when I opened it up, there was two circuit boards inside, and one of those circuit boards had a metal shield to stop interference and stuff like that. You just have to cut one wire on this. And I haven't seen many of these. Ghost Adventures of Cornwall was the first person that I actually seen doing this, and I got the advice from him, you know.
Yeah.
And I haven't seen anybody else using these, you know. So I got the information from him, and it was simply there's a number of wires, and it's not a strap; it's a number of colored wires going from one circuit to the other. You just prise this apart when you take out the screws. You cut the white wire, and you're good to go.
Yeah, I think that's pretty standard on the Roberts, in it, with the actual hacking. That, you know, they very rarely use ribbons. They do tend to use individual wires.
Yeah.
Which does make life a lot easier if you want to hack a radio rather than a ribbon, because sometimes with a ribbon you literally have to slit the casing of the ribbon to get at the wire you want. Yeah,
I've tried this in a number of ways. I've actually, in the middle of a spurt box session, got the screwdriver out and I took off the antenna on it. I've covered it in tin foil. I've done all sorts, but my favorite is AM scan on this. Is pretty quiet and pretty, you know. I like this, you know, and I cannot say that, you know, I cannot fully say how brilliant this is until I've used it a lot more. So you've got FM medium wave and FM medium wave and long wave on this.
Okay, and what does that retail for roughly on eBay?
I paid £25 for the radio.
Not bad then.
But I've been looking around for more radios, and I can't. There's very hard to get.
Yeah.
So good luck trying to find them. You know, pretty hard to get, but certainly one that I wasn't expecting that was going to be easy to hack or anything like that. See, some radios you can't hack them. Yeah. That's the thing. You can't hack every radio. If it was that simple, you could go to Tesco's or you could go to Argos and buy a radio and cut a wire. It doesn't work like that. Sometimes there's there's a chip involved,
Yeah.
which has programming in it, and it gets very, very complicated. But certainly another simple hack. I know the other ones look different, but you're talking about the same advantages and disadvantages.
Yeah.
But this one actually scans differently and scans. It sounds different. It's a completely different box than these other ones. Okay. So yeah, and otherwise, quality and all the rest of it similar. All Robert's products seem to be pretty good.
Okay, that's all the Roberts then. What's the next one then, Sam?
Well, seeing as I am down here in this little corner, I just want to briefly talk about a Tesco radio.
Right.
Which,
so this is one that you can buy from Tesco at the moment.
Yes, they were retailing for about £20. When I went into Tesco's, I came out with 2 radios for my £20, so they were a tenner each.
Right.
Now, people may remember way back Andrew for Proven Demons. Some people now call this the bone in the wall box.
Right. Okay.
But before he went in the direction he's going now, which is the entertainment and stuff like that, he actually was pretty good.
Okay.
Some people like this box, some people hate it. But the thing about Andrew is he uses this as an extension of his body. He plays it like a violin. He holds it like this, and he knows the speed to tune it. Now he doesn't have this handle here, which I put on it. He turns the handle here, which is a little bit stiff. He holds it like this. He gets the antenna out, and he's there, and he's moving it around. You get through a whole scan in a half a turn, so you can't go too quickly with it,
Right.
So it takes a bit of practice. I've actually had success with this, but because it's manual, I tend to go for a automatic scans a lot more than this.
So that one can't be asked to turn it into an automatic scanner.
No, not unless you put a motor on it, which I'll show you how I actually achieve that with another radio.
Yeah.
But it's a simple cheap radio from Tesco's with a manual tune dial. Loads of different brands out there. Proven Demons seem to like this one because of the shape and that, and the way you can hold it and stuff like that. It just seems to be an extension of his body. Now, I know he's gone into the entertainment part of it, but he used to get good stuff way back in the day,
So what would you say the pros of that one is then?
Price.
Yeah.
Price, and some would say that you could, scan from one side of the frequency to the other in a half a turn, so you don't have to go very far.
Right. So with your manual scanning, it's a lot easier with the dial.
Well, it actually makes it harder because you have to try and scan as slow as you possibly can, because it's very, very easy to go really, really quick through it and that.
Mm-hmm.
The disadvantage with this is it's like learning to play the violin. You have to it takes practice. It takes practice. But if you had nothing else and you had a tenor and that, this works. That's just a brief summary on that one.
So that would be a good one for somebody just getting into spinning boxes.
Yeah, just to try. You don't even have to buy that one. Just buy one with a manual tune. And, if there's some display models, have a little twiddle with the tuning knob to see how stiff or loose it is. The more freer it is, the better it is for you. Otherwise, you're going to end up with sore fingers, Yeah.
Okay, what's your next one then, Sam?
I haven't a clue. Right, we'll go into Radio Shack and Optimus, I suppose.
Mm-hmm.
Right, I'll quickly No, we'll go for the more popular one first. We're going to go for the Radio Shack 12-587.
Right, this is the one that most people claim to be the holy grail of spirit boxes.
Yes.
Okay, go on then, Sam.
It's confusing because people have bought these. I see Paranormal Text in the chat. Bought one of these and found out that it was a new model when they bought it. So
Right.
there's a hacked version where you bend over a pin, and then there's a cable version which people claim that can be hacked, but it doesn't seem to be a lot of success with them.
Right, so you have to be very careful which model you buy with this one then.
Yeah, it's not very, very clear cut. Now this is one that I bought recently. I have another one which is the same model, but the difference is this one is slightly grayer and slightly matter in finish than the other one. The other one is black and shiny. The one that was black and shiny would stop scanning every half a minute or so.
Right.
And this one doesn't.
Okay.
But when you line them up together, you will find a difference. But on their own, it's very, very hard to it's very hard to indicate which is the hack.
Right. So you would suggest to people, if they are buying one off, say, eBay, they look at the photographs and try to see if the casing actually looks shiny or matte, and they need to get the one that looks matte if possible.
Well, don't quote me on it, but that's what it looks like from lining up the two radios. Yeah. Okay. This one looks, and I did polish them. I did polish the one. There was a few scratches on it, and I did polish it well and stuff. And I thought maybe I shined the mateness off it. So I tried polishing the living daylights out of this one, and I haven't had the same result. It's still a matte finish on it.
Okay.
So maybe this one is better than the other one.
Okay.
So there's a number of different versions. I yet have to open them up and see if there's any visual difference inside. But on the outside, very, very little, except for a shiny finish and a matte finish. And the matte finish seems to be the radio that doesn't stop scanning. But even if you get a one that does stop scanning, all you have to do is press the scan button again. But this one very, very rarely does.
Right,
you know?
So go on and frighten everybody and tell them the price of the 12587.
Oh gee, I was lucky enough to get this one for £55, but
that is cheap.
But back in the day, these were a $12 bubble pack radio, which meant that they weren't even in a box; they were in a little bubble pack that you cut around to get it out of the packaging, basically. So it was a very, very cheap budget radio that was very, very common in the United States as a little small pocket radio for $12. And it's now called the Holy Grail. Now I do spirit box sessions and stuff. I don't know if Holy Grail is what I would, I don't know if it's worthy of that crown, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, I've got to be honest. Andy's got one, and I don't think he's impressed with his either. I've got to be honest. It's a radio I've never been overly impressed with.
Don't get me wrong. I get good stuff from this.
Yeah.
But I also get good stuff from some of the other radios as well. And it is a small radio. The speaker isn't fantastic on them, but you could technically do a spirit box session and listen up close on that. And it's got its size on its side as well. It's a small radio and stuff like that.
So what would you say the pros of it are then?
The pros of it is the size and the quality of the sound. You're not drowned out with horrible static. And you do get some nice, very clear responses, and you don't have to go digging too far to get it, you know, because you're not going through excess noise, you know.
Right, what would you say the negatives are?
Price, you know,
Right.
prices, the price, you know, it's basically it's priced on reputation. You know, it's called the Holy Grail. It's involved in the paranormal, and even one that's not hacked, it's going to sometimes cost you a good bit of money. But they are starting to come down, but they're very hard to actually find now. Extremely hard. And if you find one that's not hacked, you are actually taking a gamble because you don't know which one it is. Is it the hackable version or unhackable version? It's very, very difficult, you know. So that's basically it. It's a good quality radio. It seems to be well put together. I've taken apart a couple of the other one that I had a couple of times to hack it and stuff, and it seems to be pretty good quality stuff inside there. And Radio Shack generally has good quality stuff. So
the only negative I'd add to that is the vast majority of 12587s do seem to regularly stop scanning. Yours is probably the only one I've ever heard of so far, Sam, that doesn't. The one you've got.
Yeah, the matte coloured one. I have the shinier one. It stops scanning all the time. It's an annoying pain in the ass. But if you accidentally bought the unhackable version, you can still spin this wheel and it won't stop. It just keeps spinning. So you can do a manual that way, you know. But even the unhacked radios are going up in price because of its rarity. They're very, very hard to find now. Very hard to buy these, you know. So that's the Radio Shack 12-587.
Okay.
Right. Oh, we go for this one. It's the Radio Shack 12 dash. No, the Sangean 200V.
Right.
Is it? Well, also known as the Radio Shack 12 dash. Shit.
I doubt it's called 12 dash shit.
Sorry. 12-174, I think.
Okay.
But it's also known as the Sangean DT200V.
Okay.
And that's basically it without the antenna. I bought that. It's a hackable radio, right? And that's why people have them and that. They found out that they could hack these and they put them out there as a hacked radio. They're very hard to find now, actually. Not a whole lot I can actually say about this one. It is kind of noisy. It does work. It does work. And if you wanted to experiment with different radios, certainly, you know, you can try these. So sometimes the Sangean brand and the Radio Shack brand are the same. They're actually the same radios.
Yeah.
So you've got so this, you know, it's more common to see on YouTube videos the Sangean DT200V, but you know, this is branded as the Radio Shack. So that is a small little radio with a small little speaker, AM FM scan. It's actually a bit noisier. It's a lot noisier than the 12-587.
Right.
So it's a simpler sort of radio.
And what are they currently retailing at?
Because of its rarity, anything that person is asking for, or any amount that people are willing to pay.
Okay.
You know,
so
you could be paying anything up to £100 for one or more, because they're very hard. They're actually very hard to get, and it's sort of classed now as a kind of historical spur box sort of thing.
So, what would you say the pros of that one is?
The size and the quality of the product. It doesn't seem to be any problems with quality issues and that.
Any negatives?
The negatives is it's a little bit noisy. It's a little bit noisy for my liking.
So probably not the best recommendation for somebody first getting into spirit boxes.
Yeah, I mean, like what we're talking about here is some radios can be hacked.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean that they're good.
Yeah.
Just because they can be hacked, it doesn't mean that they're good. I would prefer something else, and that's my personal opinion. I just find this one a little bit noisy and not to my. I would prefer to use something else, kind of thing. But some people might like them, and if you did want to have one, you've seen, you look back on this video and you say, "Oh, I want to have one of those boxes."
Yeah.
I named the box. Put it into your search on YouTube and watch some videos on how they sound and stuff like that before you make your choice.
Yeah.
There's people doing full reviews on these. We can't do full reviews on these because we've got 20 radios here, But certainly look through those reviews and look at a couple of different reviews before you choose to buy one, and that's what I tend to do when buying a spurt box.
Yeah. Okay. Next one then.
Right. An Optimus, and this came from Bob Wagner, actually. It's the Optimus.
This is Bob Wagner of Wagner ITC.
Yeah, he's changed the name of his channel now to Shine On Paranormal or something like that.
Okay.
But he was informally known as Bob Wagner of Wagner ITC, and this is the Optimus 12-808.
Right.
Also comes under the Radio Shack brand. AM/FM scan on this. A lot like the Roberts radios, actually, and just as good as just as good as the 12-587, in my opinion. Actually, you've got AM/FM shortwave, you've got TV, and you've got WX, whatever that is. I can't remember. So you've got all those. You've got a pretty heavy portable radio for the size of it. It's a little bit bigger than some of them, but when you have a radio in your hand and you feel weight in it, you know that there's quality stuff in there.
Yeah. Roughly, what are they retailing at, Sam?
Well, Bob was actually quite reasonable with this one. It was $45.
That's a good price.
Which is, a lot less on. I think it's less on the sterling rate. I think.
Yeah.
I might have had to pay a little bit import duty. I can't remember now, but I didn't pay a huge amount. There's some people out there that they charge an awful lot for a hacked radio, and that. Bob was kind of reasonable with these,
Yeah.
So I thought I would give one of his radios a go, and I chose this one.
Okay. So pros then.
Pros quality and sound. It's a pretty good radio. And the only negative I have is they're very, very hard to find.
Right. Okay.
Extremely hard to find. It's like hen's teeth.
Okay. Next one.
Two more. I'll go for this one first. This one is not as common, but I seen a video on YouTube on it, but I didn't see any anyone to hack it. It's a 12-797, and it's another little portable radio like this.
Right.
You know, but actually getting information to hack it is starting to be very hard to find. I cut one wire and I actually cut the wrong wire, so I had to reattach it again, which was a big pain. But I found that when I put a piece of my, my little cut cable ties between the two scan buttons, that it actually scans. You know, so I'll briefly turn it on. The only thing about this one actually is, it's actually pretty quiet. It's on
so
scan.
What do they retail for, Sam, or what did you pay for yours?
Along with postage and stuff like that, I might have paid over the odds for this one, but I thought it was over £80.
Ouch. Ouch.
Yeah, when you think about it, this is not a huge radio, and it would have been a budget pocket radio at the time. But I'm just telling you the truth, I've overpaid for this radio. But it's very hard to find another one of these. The thing was, it was down as ghost hunting, which is always going to increase
the price. Yeah.
But I couldn't actually find a stock one, so that's where I was in bother, you know.
So positives then?
It's actually a good quality radio.
Right.
There's nothing flimsy about it or anything like that. You know, and actually the sound coming from this, I can't actually get it on at the moment.
Let's get it on.
Yeah, the battery has gone flat on this, so I can't really show it to you offhand. But you know, you just go through YouTube and it will you'll find it. It's the Optimus 12-797. That's what it's called. Or you can put dial in Radio Shack 12-797. It's the same thing.
Okay.
But
go on.
Because it's Radio Shack, it's good quality as well.
So what would you say? Any negatives to it?
Can't fully say it until I properly hack it. You know, I don't know. Yeah. At the moment, a little bit quiet, and I have to vamp up the amplifier to actually get sound from this. Will it happen when I properly hack it? I don't know. You know? So that's all I can say about that one, because it's not properly hacked yet. It is a hackable box, you know?
Okay, your next one then?
One more Radio Shack, and one of my favorites has aesthetically is the Radio Shack 12-101.
Jesus, do you actually ever take that out on an investigation?
I do, but I rarely do, because I don't want to get it. I don't want to get it dented. You could dent that aluminium. It's the 12-150.
It's that big, Sam. It's got bloody aluminium handles on it.
Yeah. These are more sort of, like bull bars, protected and stuff like that. It's got this silly strap at the top, which some people take off and get rid of because it's annoying and that. But because because it's standard with the radio, I'd rather just keep it. Just rather would keep it standard. I know it's glittering there, but that is that. Scans an AM and FM. It's a different type of hack. You can't. It's not cutting a wire. It's actually scraping into the circuit board and scraping off some of the insulation on the circuit board to actually hack this one.
So this one's a bit more of a difficult hack.
No, it's actually easier. You know, it's actually easier, but you have to be very, very careful, because if you break the circuit board, if you scratch too far into it, you could ruin the whole thing. But it's like something you'd see in a submarine or an old warship or something.
Mm-hmm.
When you go to scan it, this knob doesn't go fully around. You just click it like that.
Right.
That's forward and backwards. You just click it like that. It only goes a certain amount. You just click it like that, and it springs back. So forward and backwards. I find it very, very good on AM. You got a modes here, normal and AM wide. If I put it on normal mode, and it's just pure silent. Just every so often it'll just come out with a word in that, but between it all, absolutely nothing. On FM, it's pretty busy, but AM, it's just like it's like a radio that's gone through a noise gate. There's nothing coming out of it except the odd word now and again. So
that one also has the advantage, Sam. If ever a Desmond pops up, you can beat it to death with it.
Yeah, it's pretty heavy as well, But
so what do they retail at roughly?
There at the moment there's currently one for sale on eBay at £55.
Really? That's cheap.
Yeah, it's not bad, but I think there is a lot of. You see, a lot of these radios come from the United States.
Yeah.
And because this thing is heavy, you could be paying more for the postage than you do for the product sometimes, So you could be paying something like $23 added onto that £55. I can't remember, but it wasn't straightforward £55. There was a lot of postage, delivery cost, with the current one that's on eBay. But there's very, very rarely I see these coming up. I find these pretty hard to find, but certainly something completely, different.
So
a lot different is pros, quality, the classic sound, the AM, no static, just words coming out every so often. It's pretty versatile that way. And the quality and the visuals of it, I actually like it visually. It's just it's a beautiful radio, I think.
Any cons?
The cons are it takes a lot of pretty large batteries in the back, adding to the weight and that. But other than that, I wouldn't say. You see, all the spurt boxes that are on the show today, a lot of them are different ways of scanning. So it's not that one is better than the other. It's one works different than another, and it's what personally works for you,
Yeah.
So I, at the beginning, found it difficult to use this box, but I found it very hard to attach myself to this box.
Yeah.
But I use it a lot more now.
For me, that'd be more of a user tone box than a takeout on an investigation box.
Oh yeah, I'd rather keep it at home because I don't want to get too many. I don't want to get it dented,
Yeah, you're stroking it like it's your favourite pet, Sam.
Yeah, I don't want to damage this box, and it is pretty heavy and cumbersome. That's one of the disadvantages there. So I got to put it down now because my arms are getting sore.
Yeah. Welcome to the stream, Andy.
Hello,
Andrew. Andy, how are you doing?
Oh, not too bad.
You feeling a bit better?
No, not at all.
Oh God. So we can get something sorted soon.
I've just been for a little walk though to get some air.
Oh, good. As long as you're getting out.
Aye.
No, I didn't know you were sick, Andy. Sorry.
It's the same thing, Sam, what's been going on since December.
Right.
I think this is it now. It's like this is my life. I've got to deal with. It'll be
let's hope not.
Yeah.
Right. Is there any more you want to do, Sam, before you do a spirit box session?
I have a couple more actually. Just a couple of more, not very many.
What's your next one then?
The one I got yesterday, and I remember I was messaging you, and I was going,
Yeah.
"Genie Mark, it just told me to F off."
Mm-hmm.
And this is the one that actually mimicked my voice. I've got no connection to this radio whatsoever, and I thought it's not going to be brilliant. It's one of these. It seems to be one of these people that just put circuitry together and then put it out as a fancy box and that. But it's one of these. It's a.
I actually like the look of that box. I really do.
It does look nice. It does
Yeah.
look nice, but it doesn't weigh anything. It's
Mhm.
very light. It's very light plywood and that.
Yeah.
I've got exactly the same box as that.
Have you, Andy?
Have you?
Yeah.
I find this thing brilliant for some reason. You know, one thing I don't like is if I was building this, I would put a little frame, a little bit thicker than those battery boxes around the bottom and paint it black, so it's kind of invisible, and put those battery packs underneath.
Yeah.
So you continue with the look and that, and I'd say it can be done, but you switch on the two battery packs. One is for the reverb, one is for the radio itself. Right. You've got a volume and reverb, and that is it. And I think it's just an FM radio. It's got an aerial at the top on that, and it's actually quite a quiet box. It doesn't have very much static and stuff like that. But this thing, I took it out of the box and I decided I'd just turn it on and try it. And that. I went hello. The next thing I got hello back, exactly the same tone. It was like, is there a microphone in this thing? I couldn't believe it, and I was kind of shocked in that. And I said, "All right, who is here?" And next thing, it just went, this kind of like, this kind of
whispery voice.
This kind of.
That was me tuning into you from my spirit box self.
Yeah.
So how much did that one cost you, Sam?
Can't remember. I think it was £125 or something like that, or 89. Can't remember. But
pros?
It flipping works. That's all I can flipping tell you. It's it is light as a feather. It doesn't come across as a fantastic box, but it works. It's completely simple. You turn it on, you've got your volume, you got a little bit of reverb, and that is it. And what I got out of it straight away yesterday was, it proved that it works. It's a slow scanning box. So when you get a radio coming through, you get a number of words.
Yeah.
But the thing is, there may be a better chance of getting more than a couple of words as a response coming out, that kind of way, because when it's scanning slower. I'm slowly getting to slower scans to see will I get more than one or two words in that. But fair play to the guy. It works. It definitely does. It doesn't feel like there's anything inside here, but there is a reverb circuit and a little radio circuit, and it works.
Okay, any cons?
It's too early to say. I would just rather have these. It just kind of ruined the aesthetic a little bit. Put them in underneath, put a little lip of wood around, paint black, make it look invisible, and you hide these kind of. The one thing that gets up my nose is attaching battery boxes on the outside of things. When it's a box, it should be inside, but there is the power switch is on there, but you can still have a power switch on the box,
Yeah. See, I wanted mine on the back of my box, but I had them on the back, and he fitted them on the back for me because I like access to them without having to keep opening the box and stuff.
That's the thing. That's the thing.
Yeah.
But I think in this particular box, it was underneath. You wouldn't see it. You could still access it, and it's easy enough, you know. But I don't know what else to say about it. If you know, I was flabbergasted when I got those responses yesterday, and actually on 2 occasions I was told to F off, and it was when I wasn't recording. So I recorded some sessions afterwards just to see would I catch anything, and knowing my luck, the communication stopped or something. I haven't reviewed it yet, so it works. That's all I can tell you. It's one of these box makers that buys circuits, I think, and just puts it together. I don't know much of a history on it, folks. I just don't. But they're available on eBay. They're relatively available on eBay, and it surprised me. Surprised me in a good way. You know, I wasn't expecting miracles from this, but it works. It's a simple system. It works.
Okay.
You know?
Next one then. Or your last? Is this your last one?
It's sort of my last one, but I just briefly want to talk about this afterwards as a little history thing. But this is one I sort of modified myself, and it's a completely different way of, you know.
Yeah.
It's really old-fashioned and that, but it actually is a new radio. There was a cheap plastic handle on top. I'll just move my cigarette here before I put my house on fire here.
Okay.
Now there was a manual tune here, and I took that manual tune out, and I put a servo motor in.
Right.
It's actually playing up at the moment, so it's sort of under development again. I had to rethink some things. It has a servo motor in there, and at the back, what I put in is a servo controller. So what you have here is a manual sweep box controlled by a motor, and that motor's speed is controlled by that box. So I have a variable speed box that I made myself, and then this here is powered by a battery pack that's hidden inside the radio.
Okay.
So basically, you know, if you can get a servo motor that can go from one side of the scan to the other, and attach it to where the manual tune is, technically you have a motorized automatic variable scan box. You know?
Yeah.
And I'm hoping I can get this one right at some stage. It's playing up with me at the moment. The motor keeps slipping in that. So I might have to do a little bit more work with it, you know, and see how I can get it. I just wish that I could get the motor inside the radio, but it's just going to be a little bit too complicated. But that's as far as my abilities are as regards to this, and you know,
it's actually it's a clever idea, Sam. It's a really clever idea.
You know, I thought it was pretty interesting. It was something like some of the Paranologies boxes, you know. With the motor in there moving around, the mechanicals of it and that. So hopefully I can perfect it at some stage. But at the moment, it's starting to work. I done a couple of sessions where it was not slipping and it was going and that, and it's just and it's great. You know, people were enjoying looking at the dial going over and back. You know.
Yeah.
You know, so basically that was a £25 radio that I added some things to, and it sort of cost me about the whole lot about £35 to £40. To do the whole electronics and that.
This is the thing about equipment to do with paranormal research or investigation or whatever you want to call it. And I'm sure Andy will agree with me on this, because for those that don't know, Andy does an awful lot of electronic stuff paranormal wise. He did my Red Bear for me. He built my spirit portal box, whatever you want to call it, for me as well. Is the fact that you can actually make a lot of this stuff for significantly less than what you can buy it off the internet for. The biggest example, which Sam does and Andy does within the REM Bears, is REM pods themselves. Now, Sam builds a REM pod that costs her a couple of quid to build. Andy builds REM bears that are considerably cheaper than what you would buy them from a lot of these paranormal shops, and the ones Andy builds are actually, they have more features than your basic REM bear does. Would you agree with that, Andy?
Oh yeah, definitely. Prices that people, for the classic round REM pod, which is more or less exactly the same innards as what we use for REM.
Yeah.
I mean, running you up into hundreds.
Yeah, well, I think it's about £160 now, isn't it, for your average REM pod?
Okay, right.
Yeah.
I definitely wouldn't entertain that price.
No, mate. No, mate.
When it comes to brands, sometimes it's the brand. But, I held one of these REM pods in my hand, and I said, and it was so light. I said, is that it? Is that it? And the antenna on it, I was afraid to touch it in case I'd bend it, And so it says, I make REM pods from door handle alarms, and they're more robust from that. And the alarms cost me £5, less than £5 for 3 of them, or something like that, or £6 for three alarms. So they're coming out at about, they're coming out at less than £2 each, or something like that. It's, and some of these companies actually know about these alarms and are selling them for £60.
Yeah.
When it's very, very simple. You don't even have to alter them if you don't want to. You could use them the way they are, but you won't have the lights flashing and that.
Yeah.
And you would have more range with an antenna on it. But technically, you could buy door handle alarms and use them as REM pods just the way they are.
Yeah.
With no alterations. It's the same sort of technology. And that, but the prices that people are charging is sometimes ridiculous,
Right, Sam, do you want to get onto this last radio you want to talk about then?
It's just a bit of a history and the reason why I bought this.
Is it the one I think it is?
It's this one. No, it's this one. This came from Italy, and the reason why I chose this radio is Marcello Bacci used a bigger version of this, and possibly in his collection had one similar to this. And Marcello Bacci was born in Italy. He was known for spirit communication.
Yeah.
He's
one of the pioneers of ITC, isn't he?
Oh, he is, yeah. And people considered him a miracle worker. Because all he was using was a radio, and he was picking a frequency, and he was kind of tweaking it. He was sitting there, and he was just tweaking it to get that little sound out a little bit more. And do you know what? There was one stage where the valves were removed from the radio, so no radio signals were coming into it, and he was still getting communication through that. And that, when my science teacher showed me VHF tapes, which he was big into ITC. I started asking questions, and then when I went home, I made a radio setup from an old car stereo, one of those old manual tuned car radios that I found in our garage and that. And I made a little box around it, and it looked like an amplifier and that. So I used to stay back after school and do some research into ITC and stuff like that. So we had noise generators, and we had an old radio like this and that. We were recording on, tape decks and stuff. This one needs a lot of work, but even if it doesn't work, this is, in memory of the work of Marcello Bacci. Now, it's 230 volts going through a wire and a plug like that. So this needs a bit of work.
Yeah.
It's a bit, the wiring is a bit sketchy and that. But that is, everything is in Italian. It says volume there, but it says in Italian underneath it. tono. And over here, tuning is Sintonio. Tonia.
It's a beautiful looking radio.
Yeah. It needs. What happened was there's a wheel inside that does the tuning and that, and there's a rubber band connecting that wheel.
Yeah.
To a big wheel inside.
Yeah.
And after a while, those rubber bands liquefy and just rot away.
Right.
And they basically rot into a kind of a tar substance. So I have to go in and I have to clean out that and try and get a belt for it, you know. But I'm going to put it down now because my arms are getting sore.
Okay. Right, I'm going to ask Andy this first now. That is pretty much most of Sam's spirit boxes. I hope you found them interesting because she's got some really interesting ones. She's going to do a demonstration for us in a minute. But Andy, will you tell us which one you would consider to be your all-time favourite spirit box and which spirit box you'd never touch with a 10-foot barge pole?
Right, I've got to say I've got to stick with my SB7 just because it's only one really that I've ever, you know, properly bridged a connection with, you know. For me, I wouldn't touch. Oh, I don't. Right, I don't. It's a right. I've seen it in person. I don't want to set name because it's basically name of it is name a guy that builds it, which is like I don't want to say it.
Right. Okay.
But it was quite a prolific builder of spirit boxes.
Yeah.
And I've actually tried using it, and I weren't really impressed at all. And it got all this rave. And it like kind of looks like a bloody what's the thing I'm looking for? Like a locker, you know, like a locker for an American locker with holes in and stuff, and vents and I was like, it's the ugliest thing I've ever seen. But that's me. I can't set name on it because it's the guy's name, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
It's a bit awkward, but yeah.
Yeah. Right, for me, again, it would be my favourite one is the PSB7. Basically, you know, it was the one I've started with. I do love my Roberts, but I absolutely adore my PSB7. I like the fact, you know, you've got your AM, your FM, but it's the variable sweep and stuff like that I like about the PSB7. And I have got some really interesting stuff that I've captured with the PSB7. The box I wouldn't touch with a barge pole, and this is probably going to be a bit, is the S box. I don't like the fact that it's got things like delays when it's scanning and stuff like that. Sam has actually got one and says that it produces a lot of horrible static on certain. Is it on the FM band, Sam?
Yeah, there's a static burst on the FM band, but I didn't manage to find out what was causing that. So I forgot that I had. I forgot I had this on the list.
Yeah. It is a box that, you know, has actually been pre-designed, and I think it was aimed to be. Oh, excuse me. No, I haven't got it. It was aimed to be a competitor to the PSB7. The problem with it is there has actually been very little to no manufacturer backup to do with updating the software and stuff on it since they've launched it. Yeah, and that is why I would not touch that spirit box with a barge pole. Right, Sam, what is your favourite? What is your least favourite? And then do you want to use your favourite to show us what it sounds like and stuff?
Funny enough, I can't believe I'm saying this.
Go on.
The PSP7 on magnitude mode's my favourite.
Really?
A couple of weeks ago, I would have said I wouldn't have touched that thing with a barge, but I detested that flipping radio. I absolutely hated it. But I have it everywhere. I have it in the car. I have it on all the time. It just, it's so quiet on magnitude mode. Using it ordinary, I can't stand it turning it on and pressing FM and that all that noise. I can't stand that. But Jesus, the quiet AM magnitude mode, and I use Faraday pouches. I have it in a biscuit tin and stuff like that. And the responses that I've got from it, I have to say, it's a bad quality radio, but it flipping works. It works. It's got a lot of pros and cons and stuff like that, like the inadequate speaker and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But it works. I hope in the future that they will develop something a little bit better quality and a little bit more features and that. But it's getting responses, whether it's good quality or bad quality. It gives me responses. It works for me. I have to put that at the moment at the top.
The one you like the least?
The one I like the least is the one I can't talk about.
Right.
It's basically it's a Chinese speaker that was heavily modified and a reverb circuit put into it and was going out on the market for about £85. I received mine covered in super glue. It did, once it finished from the beginning of the scan to the end of the scan, I had to press the button again. I understand the person that alters these has got around to having a continuous scan now, so fair play to him and that.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to mention names, because not only is there drama in the paranormal community, but there also can be very, very vicious drama in the spirit box manufacturing community. So I'm better off not saying.
Yeah.
I'm better off not mentioning the person's name. But I feel like I got badly scalded there.
Okay, then Sam, do you want to demonstrate? And now bear in mind, Sam has got 20 boxes and she has crowned the PSB7 as her favourite, which I honestly thought I would never ever hear her say. Do you want to do us a demonstration with your PSB7 then, Sam, and how you set it up and stuff?
Yes, I have an amplifier here, and I don't normally use this amplifier, so I hope it can be heard.
And if we get, I apologise beforehand if we get any swearing coming through, nothing to do with me.
Can it be heard, yeah?
Yeah.
I just want to make sure. I just want to make sure that I'm on quiet mode, and I'm going to put it in the biscuit tin because I have got electronics around me. So
That's funny when you say I'm going to put it in the biscuit tin.
Right, it's quieting down now. Can it be heard? Yeah.
Yeah.
Right, I'm going to go and get the biscuit tin.
Okay. Anybody feel free to ask it questions in the comments, or you ask it somebody if you want to, Andy.
I might do once it gets going.
Okay, spirits, or
believe it or not,
this afternoon. I know I give you an opportunity this morning, and I give you an opportunity every morning to call. Hang on.
Okay. Do you want to move the amp just slightly nearer the mic, Sam?
Yeah.
Can you move your amp slightly nearer the mic? That's perfect.
Right, would anyone like to come through that I spoke to this morning? I keep getting Dave.
Yeah, and I'll just say that sounded like the same word twice.
I'm having Dave a couple of times a week lately. Who's Dave? They've reduced the amount of signal that's coming through, so it's very, very quiet. Just tell me who Dave is.
What did that say? That's that.
I don't know. I'm kind of muffled because I've got the headphones on. Is there anyone here that I spoke to this morning or yesterday? I'm looking for how many communicators are here with us this afternoon. Could you tell me how many is here?
That sounded like 3.
I've got 3 a couple of times in the last 3 weeks, 3-4 weeks. Yesterday I got hundreds. Right, if there's 3 people here, if there's three people here, or 3 spirits, or 3 entities, could you tell me what your names are? It said 100, but it could be a copy of me saying 100.
Mm-hmm.
Do you like the fact you get this opportunity to talk every day? Do you like that? Do you like that I turn on the radio for you to speak? Pain? Did somebody say that they were in pain?
Somebody said pain when that happens, Chris and Biggie, in the comments.
Dave is coming back again. If you want to ask questions, you can relay them through me and I can ask them. Is Dave here? Who was rude to me yesterday and told me to F off?
It was an hobgoblin, sir.
This is why I like this. You've got less audio to go through.
Yeah.
And the challenge is more because there's less signal coming through. Are you going to be nice to me today? I'm nice to you all the time. So are you going to be nice to me today? I think it said dead, but it's coming up on the radio, unfortunately, an awful lot lately.
Yeah, I'll tell you something about that in a minute when the session's over, so.
I remember doing one on a Sunday morning, and I forgot it was Sunday. And I was getting all sorts. I was getting Jesus Christ and everything. And then I forgot that Mass was on the radio. Church services was on the radio at the same time I was doing the Smurf Box session. And I was getting heaven and God and Jesus coming through. And I was going, what the hell's going on here? And then I looked at the clock and I said, oh, it's 11:30 on a Sunday.
Mm-hmm.
But certainly a nice way to do this. Are you my friend?
Chris says John the Baptist.
The odd time I do ask them to say John the Baptist. Someday it's going to come through. If you can hear my voice right now, can you say John the Baptist for me? If you can see me right now, could you tell me what colored clothes I'm wearing right now? Tracy, baby, back in a minute, or I'm going to boil the spuds dry.
Been there and done that before. Sounds like you got a bit of a quiet session there at the moment, so.
Yeah, the reason, you know, the way I set up this and the way I like doing this is I do this every morning, like this. Now, putting it in a Faraday cage adds to the challenge. So I have less radio coming through. But the thing is, if a response comes through, it's going to come out an awful lot clearer than it would be if it was a busy sounding audio coming through, like a lot of static or a lot of radio.
Yeah.
So you have less digging to do to get that audio, you know?
Yeah. Now, see, I took my PSB-7 out yesterday for the first time. I thought I'll go walk around, you know, when I go on my daily walk. And I thought I'll take my PSB-7 with me and see what I pick up. So I plugged my headphones into it, stuck it in my pocket, and off I went, walked down towards the canal. And as I got down to the canal, I started asking questions. First, I asked it about, you know, if anybody had actually died in the canal, and I got the response 5. Don't know if that's true or not. What was really interesting, when we got to the basin, I actually said there was birds in the basin, and I said, what birds are those? Straight away, I got the response, some swans, and that was exactly what I was looking at. So I said to the question, I said after that, can you tell me how many swans are currently in the basin? And it said 6. Now I could only see 4 of these swans, as it said 6, and I'm thinking, no, you've got that wrong. And as I glanced to the left, there was actually 2 more swans coming under the bridge into the basin. That was, you know, so it made it to 6. So that for me was quite a good response, because when I asked the question, the number I'd actually got in my head was 4, because I could only see 4 of them. It immediately said 6, and the 2 came swimming from under the bridge. The really funny response was, as I left the basin and carried on walking further down the towpath, a wild rabbit ran in front of me. And I said to the spirit box, did you just see that rabbit? And straight away, literally almost instantaneously, I got the response, it's an alien. So why it thought the rabbit was an alien, I do not know. The other interesting thing I got on that session, and you might be interested in this, Andy, I got death, dead, ghost, devil, and demon, all in the session as I was walking down the canal towpath. Now, they are words I never ever, you know, I never pick them up on my spirit box. But especially the devil and demon one, but I got both of them yesterday on the spirit box as I was walking down the canal. And I really wish I'd took the task cam now and plugged it in. So you know, Jason is planning on doing, Andy, Jason wants to do a spirit box later on.
Is it?
Yeah, so what I'm going to do, because we don't get a very good reception down here upstairs. I'm going to set him up upstairs in the back bedroom where we pick up radio better.
Yeah.
And I'm going to leave him in there with the camera running. And I'm just going to film it and let him ask what he wants and see how it goes. And then I'm going to put it up as a video.
Yeah, cool.
But it'll be very, very interesting because Jason gets a lot of very, very interesting responses when he does it. But that thing yesterday with the rabbit and the "it's an alien" response, I thought was hilarious.
Yeah, I mean, yesterday, just before you went out, I had tried out this little box here, and you know, it just had arrived and that. So, you know, like a lot of people do, they would turn it on and try it out and all the rest of it.
Mm-hmm.
That's when it happened. You know, there was no camera on me, there was no recording on me, and sometimes when you just randomly just turn on a spirit box and have a go with it, that's where you get really, really good stuff, and you're just kicking yourself that it's not recorded, you know?
Mm-hmm.
You know? Yes.
Have you done any sessions recently, Andy?
Yeah, I have.
Anything interesting picked up?
I did a box at the tree.
Right.
With the elm tree just right corner.
Mm-hmm.
Because I wanted to take another branch, you know.
Yeah.
I got a few interesting things, but no mega good.
Mm-hmm.
And then I was passing through Fairy Garden on the walk over there.
Right.
I did a little box in there, and there were a few little interesting bits in there.
Oh, good. Have you recorded it all?
Yeah, I always record it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It'll be interesting to see.
Mm.
I'll tell you what was interesting yesterday when I was down the canal. Not once did I get anything to do with what's currently going on. Not a single reference to it at all.
I've been getting nothing to do with it, which is really good, to be fair.
Have you, Sam?
No, get nothing. I do ask. You know, I don't ask directly. I do ask, do you know why I'm in the situation I'm in right now? Do you know why I can't leave my house? Do you know why there's not many cars outside? Do you know why there's not many people outside? That kind of thing. Don't ask directly in that, you know.
Yeah.
But if those words, you know, the name of the particular thing that's going on right now, if that word comes out, a lot of the time it's going to be radio, because radio is not talking about anything else lately, you know.
Mm-hmm. See, this is why I was expecting it to be coming through the PSB7 constantly, but I can honestly say I have not any word relating to it. You know, nothing like ambulance or hospital or anything like that. It's almost like there was a complete blockade of it on the PSB7. I heard absolutely no references to it or to anything connected to it whatsoever. Not a single thing.
You know, I should be, because I'm running at 300, where a lot of people are running at 250. This is running. You can hear it's running very slow.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't the word never. I don't think the word ever came up on the session.
Yeah.
You know. But you know, we've done a lot of things about spirit boxes today. The thing is, at the end of the day, people are going to stick to a number of their favorite ones, you know. And very often, a lot of the time, people that have a lot of spirit boxes, they end up selling half of them because they don't use them. You know, they're going to stick with their favorites. And maybe I'm going through that process where I'm trying to find the one that works for me.
Mm-hmm. Tracy says, I've started doing one in the evenings now, as Hubby came in from the garden. It said his name twice. So he sat with me for a while and we got a few more bits.
Cool.
That's brilliant, Tracy. You'll find the more you do it and the more you work with, and I think Andy will back me up on this, and probably Sam as well. The more I'll find, the more you work with a specific box, the better and better the communication gets with it, the more you use it.
Yeah,
it's almost like you make some kind of connection with the box itself.
Yeah, I do sessions every morning at around 11 or half 11. So I don't know, Annabella Cardoso says, try as best as possible to do it in the same place at the same time every time you do it.
Yeah.
So is it building a connection? Is it telling the spirits, right, this is the time where you can actually communicate?
Mm-hmm.
And will that help? Will timing help?
Yeah.
With the communication? They'll know that they can communicate between 11 or half 11 every day or whatever. So I don't know, but certainly the more time you do it, the more chances you've got. It's like the more time you go fishing, the more chances you have of catching fish. You know
exactly. What's your opinion, Andy, on working with the same box all the while? What do you think it improves?
Yeah, personally I do, because I'm a big thing. I'm an advocate at minute of saying I've lost my connection with mine a little bit because I ain't been, So
yeah. I think Jace is going to ask about the plate and stuff when he does that spirit box.
Dream to ask about shoelaces as well.
Yeah. I'll remind him about that.
Yeah, definitely.
I will remind him about that. That has happened again. It happened again the other day.
Right.
But that's the first time it's happened in a few weeks, but it did happen again the other day. So something's trying to get his attention. But that plate issue the other night, that I've never seen anything like it. It literally appeared while we were looking in that direction, sort of thing. And Jay says he actually saw it spinning through the air as it fell.
Right.
Dave has just come up again, I think. Do you want me to turn this off now?
Yeah, you might as well. I'm going to close the stream down shortly because we've been going for nearly 2.5 hours, and we've got the main stream tomorrow night. Andy, what I want to do tomorrow night, if you're still okay to do it, coming on and stuff. I'm going to do it at, a little bit more of like a party thing tomorrow because we've just got, the channel has literally just got monetized, so I want it to be a bit more of a little bit of a celebratory stream, so we can play the RU psychic games and, we're a bit more relaxed where, you don't have to record everybody and everything. Yeah. And we'll do a few more things. Hopefully you'll be coming on as well, Sam. Are you free?
Oh yeah.
And tomorrow we're going to do the normal 9 o'clock stream, but it's just going to be more of a party type atmosphere to celebrate the channel getting into YPP and getting monetized and stuff. So we'll do that. But I'm going to close the stream down now because we've covered everything we can cover on the spirit boxes. I want to say thank you to Sam. A big thank you for going through all the spirit boxes and giving us all the positives and negatives from them. I hope anybody out there, if they're considering getting a box now or sometime in the future, it'll be an help to you of what to pick or what to go for. But I think it was nice to get all the boxes in one video, so there's a bit of a reference point there. So I'd say thank you to Andy for coming on as well towards the end because he has been a little ill at the moment and he still puts the effort to coming on the channel. But thank you all for coming. We will see you tomorrow, like I say, and we'll have a bit of a party tomorrow night to celebrate the channel. So we will see you all soon. Thank you to Andy for coming on. Thank you to Sam for all the work that's done today with the spirit boxes. And thank you for everybody coming in and chatting to us because you are what makes these streams. So we will see you all tomorrow night at 9 p.m. British Summer Time. Have a good night, everybody. Bye.
Bye. Bye. Bye.